Let's see here. Epidarius once said that if death is, then he is not. And if he is, then death is not. There is this very interesting, what is it called? It's not a poem as such, but it's a very interesting propositional argument by Epidarius, or Epicarius. Epidarius. And it says like this, it goes like this. If God is all-knowing, omnipotent, and omnipresent, then why is there evil in the world? Why is there misery and why is there suffering and evil as such in this world, in this life? And if God is all-knowing, all-just, and omnipotent, and omnipresent, why does he stop evil? Why does he not put an end to evil and injustice if he is God? And if he cannot stop evil or cannot determine the difference between the nature of good and evil, then why call him God? That's Epidarius's arguments. So yeah, it is a Hellenistic argument. Oh, and by the way, Soulbreaker, I know that was you, being that Russian person. The guy that pretended to be the Russian that called me a homosexual. I know that was Soulbreaker, by the way. I'm not fooled. You don't fool me. I'm a cynic at heart. I don't need a race, and I don't need loyalties to nobody. I don't need a family. I don't need anybody. I don't need love. I don't need really a god, and I don't need a nation or a national affiliation. Taxation is tyranny over the masses, and it is just tyranny over the minds of man. And I find it interesting that people like Rick Perry love the Apostle Paul so much, because the Apostle Paul absolutely despised homosexuals. In fact, most of the people, this is what's so funny, but most of the people that actually hate Paul are homosexuals and gender non-binaries. I actually did some research into this, but usually the people that purport to support the Apostle Paul in the New Testament and his written epistles are actually people that are opposed to gay marriage and abortion. And Rick Perry favors abortion, supports the liberal imperium, which is on his Facebook. You can go to his Rashinda Perry Facebook, or Pastor, what was his name? Pastor something. Pastor, some Latin name. And you will find out that he supports the liberal imperium, transhumanism, but also supports the Apostle Paul, even though the Apostle Paul said that that sex should only be between a man and a woman that are born in that gender, born or assigned with that sexuality at birth, namely their private parts. So Rick Perry is actually the confused person. I'm just stating facts and trying to get down to the bottom of the true essence. I found out that Sir Thomas Hobbes was a monist, or a monist. It seems that most of the atheist writers were monists, or hardcore materialists, so what I've come to find out is that the Greeks were very strong materialist philosophers. I wouldn't call them dialectical materialists, because that began with Friedrich. It began with Hegel, Georg Hegel. So anyways, yeah. It is interesting to call the Epistle of James into question. Indeed, it is very interesting that James says that mercy and weakness or meekness should triumph over justice. What sort of a lunatic would make such a claim? If that even was James that wrote that. But isn't it interesting that the Ebionites believe in the same thing that the Muslims believe in? Isn't that not bizarre? That Ebionites and the Muslims believe in the exact same nature of Jesus Christ. Isn't that rather bizarre? That the so-called Epistle of James was questioned by numerous Reformed scholars. And isn't it bizarre that 2 Peter was actually almost not put into the New Testament canon? Just bizarre, is it not, how that book of James, that Epistle of James, tried to corrupt and abscond the entire point and existence and validation for the Old Testament laws, the Mosaic laws of Leviticus and Deuteronomy, and also some of the laws in Ezekiel, because Ezekiel also had some effective laws that was added into, as did Ezra. There was new interpretations and new points about the Mosaic law that were brought in. Inescapable Reality says that there's like 10 different books in the Old Covenant, or 10 different approaches of the Old Covenant, or so he claims. Paul is not actually breaking the Old Testament covenant. This is actually a lie that people like Inescapable Reality have asserted. The actual assertion is whoever wrote the book of James. The person that wrote the book of James was trying to assert some kind of Catholic doctrine, and most of Catholic justified doctrine derive from the Epistle of James. It is actually the conspiracy behind those that wrote the book of James and 2 Peter that were actually alluding to that. And so, yeah, Messianic Jews don't believe in original sin or ancestral sin like the Catholic and Orthodox churches do. They talk about a Zatar, Neser Zatar, or whatever. Zakar, Zotar, or whatever, dude. A good nature and an evil nature, and when boys turn 13 and girls turn 12, they move further away from God, or they become lesser in tune with God unless they're baptized, or whatever. It's interesting, but yeah. Let's see here. Interdimensional Lizard says, evening. Rick Perry says, Forge, gang. Code of Truth says, Forge! Rick Perry says, gang! Rick Perry says, free agency. The Catholic Church does believe in free will. The Roman Catholic Church says that man has the free will to choose, Rick Perry. I don't think that you're actually Catholic, though. I don't think that Rick Perry is actually a believing Roman Catholic. I think he's an agent. He's an agent, dude. Let's see here. Code of Truth says, perhaps the deists were right. I'm not for sure about that, bro. I don't think they were. But hey, it took me 6 to 7 years of hard studying Code of Truth to get to where I am. And finally, it paid off. I'm finally starting to, at last, catch up to where I need to be and getting into the right mindset. The pagan notion is that of an immaterial soul, which is derived from monism. Monism, it was the source of Thomas Hobbes' thinking, and it all talks about one single universal. All things are created from one single source, or comes from one single source. That is monism. Or that is the notion of monism. Code of Truth, Age of Reason by Thomas Paine. I actually want to read that. Thomas Paine definitely has a similar philosophy to Adam Smith. Adam Smith was also a anti-Christian deist, or Adam Smith was also a deist. And I've noticed that Adam Smith, the writer of The Wealth of Nations, and Thomas Paine had a lot of similar ideas. A lot of English Chartists from the 1820s also had a lot of the same beliefs. They wanted to get rid of the Anglican Church, the Church of England, and the British monarchy, and replace it with a representative republic of the model of that of the United States. Ghost of Niccolo says, "Forge forever!" Let's see here. Hey, what's up, Ghost of Niccolo? How are you doing? Are you going to do a game stream for Halloween? Because I had to turn all of my notifications off. I'm just getting spammed by a bunch of losers that have nothing better to do with their lives. Like, it's really a shame that there are some people on this platform and their lives are so miserable, they hold such grudges, and they are so hateful and hold such grudges, they have nothing better to do than to waste their time of their lives by sending irrelevant, pointless notifications to people that they have had no contact with for years. It's really sad. Let's see here. Rick Perry says, "Born again hard." Well, were you baptized and confirmed by chrismation? Because according to Catholic doctrine, you have to be baptized and confirmed. And you have to go to confession at least once a year, and you have to confess to a priest of your sins. And you have to go and partake in the Mass and eat the Eucharist at least once a year. If you don't do that, Rick Perry, you're going to burn in hell for all of eternity. You will fall into a state of mortal sin and go to hell according to Catholic theology. You don't even subscribe to your own claims of theological doctrine. You don't even hold firm to what you claim to believe in. Let's see here. Dee's Possum says, humans differ from animals primarily in their significantly higher level of intelligence, allowing for complex reasoning. Oh, there's a lot more stuff going on there, Possums. There's actually a lot more going on in those mental utilities. Naomi Bruto says, "Born." Ghost of Niccolo, I have seen others go down the Paul bashing. I've seen others go down the Paul bashing, and the next step beyond that is claiming that Jesus was invented by the Romans. Jesus was invented and created. Jesus never existed and was created by the Romans. Well, his original name was Yeshua HaMashiach. That's pretty obvious. The name Jesus is derived from the Latin French word Iusius, which is the Latin word from the Greek derivative. Like the New Testament was apparently written in Greek. So, I think the conspiracy is probably coming from 2 Peter. Whether it was someone who lived in late antiquity or the Middle Ages that was involved in forging a false 2 Peter, because even some of the church fathers considered 2 Peter almost to not be included. But ultimately, they did include 2 Peter. there's people that are saying that somebody called Titus, or whatever, what was his name? Titus Aemilius. No, Marcus Aurelius was in fact the real Jesus. What's actually happening, Toxic Angel, is the Ebionites are using James as the Messiah. The Ebionites, the Muslims, the Jews, and the Messianics, they're using James as the Messiah. James is not the Messiah. He is a false Messiah. But the death of James was one of the reasons for why the revolt in 70 AD happened against the Romans. It was actually James. Most of these Christians and Muslims and Ebionites and Jews are actually looking at James as being the Messiah. That is actually the real conspiracy of what is going on. It's not Paul. Paul had a very consistent writing method. And even though I need to do some more research into this, Paul was not the one that was actually corrupting the New Testament. It was these people that were actually around James. James, the so-called just, that was actually pushing this stuff. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm not a fundamentalist. I believe that Martin Luther just wanted to be his own pope. Just wanted to be his own pope and remove books or words like the book of Revelation says, these people shall be cursed. And they are. They will be cursed, but you got to understand, Mac, or Finding Freedom, knows this very well. There were things that the monks in the monasteries, the Greek monks, added into the New Testament. You can see this with the changes in the Textus Sinaiticus and the Textus Receptus. I believe that most Bibles tend to use the Constantinople Textus Receptus, to my knowledge. Roman Catholics use the Latin Vulgate by Jerome, or Jerome's Vulgate, which I think is based on a very similar text, but I would have to do more research. I would have to do a bit more research on it. But yeah, Martin Luther is not a perfect authority. Rick Perry says, see my latest article on Nietzsche, or Nietzsche, for a more detailed philosophical discussion on free agency, contrasting Christianity and Enlightenment thought. I think, dude, you literally follow what the Pope says. The Pope says that now it is okay to be gay and trans, and you have been pacified. You have been so pacified, Rick Perry. You do not want to take up the responsibilities of your own gender. And you have invented this lie to yourself. You have literally conceived of this gender fallacy lie to justify your own degenerate behavior. You're a degenerate. And now you're friends with other degenerates. Like, go hang out in your own community with social degenerates and engage in this degeneracy. Okay? You actually wanted to send pornography to Code of Truth. That for me is what finally was the smoking gun. For all I know, Rick Perry, you're probably sending pornography to trans kids. Or to, like, LGBT underage minors. That's probably what you're doing. And if you were, I wouldn't be surprised. If you're going to send pornography to adults, What's going to stop you from sending your dick pics to underage minors? You're not a moral authority. You're not an authority figure on nothing. You send pornography to people, dude. That's all I need to know. Code of Truth, I just hope you support free thinkers / thinking at Imperator Forge. I don't mind free thinking, but you need to have a proper philosophical understanding. I think that you do know what you're getting at, but you need to understand these proper terminologies. You need to have an understanding of eschatology. You need to have a proper professional understanding of eschatology, Code of Truth. But otherwise, yes, I would support free thinking, but you don't want to repeat what happened in France in the Reign of Terror. You don't want to repeat what happened in the Reign of Terror in France, where they were just literally cutting off the heads of clerics and royals, or even in Russia, in the Soviet Union. You don't want to go to such contrasting extremes, necessarily. You don't necessarily want to go to such extremes as that. You can prove your point without going to those kind of extremes. Let's see here. Fundamentalist Christians become crazy conspiracy theorists who live in the woods like born-again barbarian. Let's see here. Like born-again barbarian. Please don't become that. Toxic Angel, what's up? Hey, what's up, Toxic? Rick Perry says that he was a member of a religious clerical order for 4 years. LOL. Ghost of Niccolo, I'm doing well, Warhammer. Thanks. Yeah, I'm okay. I'll play some spooky game on Halloween. Glad you have been streaming on these Ebionites, bro. Yeah, I mean, I don't believe in an immaterial soul. I definitely do not believe in the existence of an immaterial soul. I definitely do tend to stick at least to some aspects of materialism. You said yourself that you were going to send your dick pics to Code of Truth. Code of Truth, about your last video, BTW. I know that we have argued about theology, but I have never tried to push any theology on you. I've only ever posed questions or put forth ideas. I need to shut off any kind of bad knowledge or bad personal advice from people. It isn't good. It is not good whatsoever to do that kind of stuff. That's why you have to do your own studies. You need to do the work, and you need to do your own reading and research and put in the time and study for yourself. I am a cynic. I don't have any hope or any faith in this country, in religion, or anything, dude. I want to move to Puerto Rico so I don't have to pay the income tax. Yes, I did receive a lot of bad advice, which is why I will never again trust what anybody tells me. And it's a shame, too. It's a sad, because you can't exactly always make the best decisions for yourself, so it's hard, man. Life is hard, bro. Toxic Angel says, learn to use ChatGPT. Code of Truth, I am always open to theological discussion. God is the greatest mystery of the universe. We will find out for sure when we pass to the next life. Well, you want to find out for sure in this life, Code of Truth. You don't want to wait until it's too late. I think that Roman Catholicism was just a tyranny over the hearts of men. Organized religion, its sole purpose is to tyrannize the souls and hearts and minds of man. Most governments, in fact, all forms of governments and all forms of institutions and hierarchies are simply to tyrannize, extort, terrorize, tyrannize, and bring tyranny over the hearts and minds of men. That's all it was meant for. Yeah, there's, have you ever watched All Seasons? Have you ever watched that Thomas More movie, A Man of All Seasons, 1966, Rick Perry? Because Sir Thomas More makes better arguments than you do, okay? He cites the Magna Carta and Henry VIII's coronation oath. You don't even do that. You don't even cite St. Peter's chair or none of that. Okay, and Rick Perry is just being a pervert. You said yourself you had a small dick. Rick Perry is a pervert, okay? He said that he was going to send a picture of his dick to Code of Truth, okay? So, he's a pervert and a sick degenerate. Okay? He's a sick, absolute sick degenerate. And right now, he's talking about pornography. He's being a pervert in my chat. He is literally a pervert, dude. That's why I'm not taking any more bad advice from him. Okay? What good is his word when he has multiple personalities? How can I take a man's word if he has a weak, dissociative personality? It admits that he has a weak personality and isn't a man with balls. All right? He isn't a man with a pair of balls that's actually going to stick to his word as a man. What good is listening or taking advice from someone like that? Okay, this guy wants to send pornography to people. This guy is sick. Can you read Chauncey's first? Yeah, dude, I saw it. Ghost of Niccolo. Let's see. Chauncey Fatsack, too much dick talk in this chat. This ain't Euros or Gyno Corner, gentlemen. Yes, gentlemen, please, guys, cool down the situation, okay? Calm the hell down. Like, there's no need to talk about your dick sizes here, okay? You don't have to prove nothing with that, and it's not going to prove nothing. There's no women in the chat. No, there's no women here. It's just men. Warhammer privated the stream. It was during the Ebionite stream where Code was fixating on my dick. He's probably a repressed homosexual. Now that is the definition of bare bones assertion fallacy, Rick Perry. But you've been talking a lot about fallacies or fallacies. You've been talking a lot and making a lot of assertions about fallacies lately, Rick Perry. Like, you're pretty sick. You are a fucking sick individual, dude. Why in the hell do you want to send other men pictures of your dick? Why are you sending out pornography? You even got a strike on Facebook for sending out pornography. You sick degenerate. That's deviant behavior. That's what sexual deviants do. That's Weimar Republic degenerate first world things. Okay? You're a degenerate. That's all that needs to be said. You are an absolute degenerate. I am okay, dude. Yeah. You kept calling me the hardest man. I think he's infatuated with you, Code of Truth. I hate to say this, bro, but the gay is infatuated with you. He's sexually infatuated with you, bro. It's disgusting, man. He probably sends pornography to children. Like, Rick Perry's probably sending pictures of his dick to underage minors. That's what sort of a degenerate, fucking, messed up, mentally ill lunatic this guy is. And I'm supposed to take theological advice from this person? I'm not going to anymore. Okay? His institutional, hierarchical religion did absolutely nothing for him. Okay? Like, dude, he's a sick, perverted individual. Absolute, disgusting, perverted individual. Toxic Angel, what type of minors? Like underage gold miners, oil miners? He got a strike on his Facebook. Rick Perry got a strike on his Facebook. So what that means is that he did not age restrict his pornography that he posted. He was posting pornography of himself on his Facebook, and he didn't age restrict it, and there were probably very likely underage children that saw his nudity. It's really disgusting. This guy could very well be a pedophile. Like, this is very likely a chomo. Every one of these guys, I tell you, every single one of these people from the Southern Israelite verse are like this. Every single one of these motherfuckers that comes from the Southern Israelite side of the internet have turned out to be like this. Be it Reformed Stoic, Inescapable Reality, or this dude in my chat. Was he trying to do EPI to minors? Eek! Yes, he was. It was not pornography. I was banned for adult solicitation because you are a prostitute. Bro, I think you're just lying. I think you were selling pornography of yourself. I think you were showing pornography of yourself to underage minors, and that's what sort of a piece of garbage you are, bro. Judaic shills for shekels. Yeah, so anyways, I'm definitely finally caught on to this insanity, dude. Like, organized religion was meant to tyrannize the minds and souls of men, and I finally have come to see this. Organized religion is just a tyranny over the minds and souls of men. It is just simply to tyrannize you. And government institutions are there to tyrannize the bodies of men. It's only there to tyrannize you. It's a tyranny. It's a tyranny over the minds of men. But yeah, Epidarius says that Epidarius, the Greek philosopher, once said that, you know, why can't God stop evil from happening in the world? And if he can't, then why call him God? That has been a very strong thing that has resonated throughout thousands of years of human history. In both the classical world and in the 18th century onwards to now. Paid Back page, Rudy Coleman Cage. Yeah, dude, what in the world is it with, like, this, the stuff that they do? Putting their dicks in cages. Locking up their ball sack. It's just insane, dude. Code of Truth, Rick Perry, are you accusing Imperator of Forge of something here? Chauncey Fatsack says, Pickle Rick. Rick Perry says, are you LOL? Let's see here. Upscale Courtesan IRL. Let's see here. Ghost of Niccolo. This is my favorite passage from James. Pure religion and undefiled before God and the Father is this, to visit the fatherless and widows in their affliction, and to keep himself unspotted from the world. Yeah, dude, like, I'm not buying any more into this sick Rick person. Dude, this sick Rick guy, all he has done is lied for years to me. He's just lied for years and years. And a lot of people finally caught on to his bullshit and, finally got a hold of his crap. And it's just it's the same bare bones assertions. It's just the same bullshit. And it's all the same garbage. Toxic Angel says he wants to get butt fucked by you, Warhammer. Gross, dude. Well, right now, he's really playing up the games with Code of Truth. Right now, he's really playing up with Code of Truth. Yeah, dude, he's talking a lot about the fallacies as of late. This guy really does enjoy talking about fallacies and dinguses and all sorts of really weird shit. And I'm just here talking about religion and theology, and he talks about pornography all the time. Talking about dick pics and fallacies. And it just gets old, man. Yeah, dude. Damn it. Phallic Judaic fallacy. Code of Truth says that Rick Perry is using divide and conquer on Forge Gang. Toxic Angel says that Rick rhymes with dick. He loves the dick. He does, bro. Code of Truth says it's failing. Let's see here. Reason in Revelation, there is no such thing as a paradigm-free observation. That's actually not true. Human societies have always worked with people having contrasting opinions and views, always trying to come to some kind of compromise. Like, people can find resolutions without fighting. The sick Rick fallacy. Yeah, there's been a lot of, bare bones assertions and straw man arguments from sick Rick. And he can plead guilt by association fallacy all he wants. He did show pornography. He did show pornography on his site. And he did say that he wanted to send pictures of his dick to Code of Truth. And it's like, if you're going to be doing that kind of stuff, I'm not going to respect you. I don't respect you whatsoever. So yeah, I think that organized religion is just tyranny over the minds of man. It's definitely tyranny over the minds of man. I think that organized governments are tyrannies. And as far as I am concerned, I'm a cynic. I do not believe in an immaterial soul. I don't even necessarily believe in the existence of an immortal soul, but I'll go ahead and say that there is an immortal soul, but not an immaterial soul. There's no doubt in my mind that there is no such thing as an immaterial world or a world of forms. It doesn't exist. These Platonic assertions do not exist. Am I a monist? I don't know. Code of Truth, Forge is not protecting him anymore. Yeah, I'm fine with some aspects of the Enlightenment. There's times when the Enlightenment gets out of hand, but at the same time, I definitely don't want to live under, like, a tyrannical king. Like a vile, wicked, evil king that wants to tyrannize, like, the peasants or the feudal people with the feudal customs. That's definitely nothing that I want to go through. I can't say that a president is much better. Consciousness is actually not immaterial. Consciousness is just a definition of intelligence. Intelligence is clearly the chemical interactions between the neurons and the messages that neurons that takes place. But yes, there's no such thing as an immaterial world. There is no immaterial consciousness or immaterial soul. But yeah. Well, quantum mechanics disproves metaphysics. You cannot have metaphysical jurisprudence in the quantum world. So how can you say that quantum particles exist, like photons and protons and neutrons and all of that, quarks and leptons, and then say that there is a immaterial world of perfection? Like, it's just, you can't do that. So material only exists in the mind. That's not what I said. I said that material exists in the outside world. There's just not a perfect world. Okay, I don't believe in the Platonic world of forms. There's no such thing as an immaterial soul, and there is no soul doctrine. And things are not going to go back to the monad. There is no notion of a monad, and there is no return to a perfect monad. Quasars are not explosions from nothing. They're made out of, and they result out of something, okay? Quasars happen from a cluster of stars and galaxies that collide and explode. So yeah, you cannot believe in the quantum world and also believe in monism. It doesn't work. You simply cannot claim that there are metaphysics, bro. It just doesn't work. I'm not using ChatGPT, I'm just using my mind. What's the point of using an external tool that isn't going to really feel or read what you're actually thinking in your internal state of mind? Okay, an external tool is not going to be able to preclude and give a partial presuppositional judgment of what is going on in my internal state of mind. Well, I'm not using Google, I'm just using my own brain. I'm just using my own thought processes. So yeah, I think that organized religions and organized states and governments are tyrannies. I see that they're tyrannies, and I see that This whole stuff about government patriotism is a lie. Monarchy and the assertions of the state is a lie. Churches are simply there to support the existence of the state. They give you lies about having an immortality if you serve and are loyal to the state, and the only thing that churches do is simply service the state and tyrannize the people and coerce them into paying taxes and tithes and giving up their riches to the upper classes. That's all that organized religions do, basically. It's a tyranny over the minds and hearts of men. All of these things are just tyrannies over the minds and hearts of men. Toxic Angel says, "Oh, I am sure that your brain has stored every religion ChatGPT has." That's a straw man argument that you're making. It can calculate any date. It can translate any language and has records of all religions that are documented. Yeah, that kind of just sounds like the system of the beast. Rick Perry says that the apostolic Catholic tradition can never be overcome by the gates of hell. Okay. Then why are you selling pornography to people over the internet then, if you are a moral authority now? Why is there an Oriental Orthodox Church? Why is there an Eastern Greek Orthodox Church, a Roman Catholic Church? And these churches until 1965 couldn't even agree on what their dogmas were after 1057. You know, why did the Nestorians, the Ebionites, the Gnostics break away? Alright, so Rick Perry finally admitted that he is not a true authority. So everybody in chat, don't take any advice from this guy. He admits that he is not a priestly authority on anything. Don't take his advice and don't take his word for nothing on religious matters. Let's see here. ChatGPT is not AI. Then why does it say that it's an AI tool? ChatGPT is a tool. It is an AI tool, Toxic. You're making a straw man. You're the one making the straw man argument. I am making a steel man argument for ChatGPT. It just sounds to me like you're just pulling out straws. You're picking at straws. That's just bare assertions, dude. That's a bare assertions fallacy. Anyways, I don't need AI to figure out what I need to do to find my place in the universe. You know something? I descend from the losers of history. Like, my past, my history is that I descend from the losers of history. And I have to find accommodation for that. My accommodation and my answer for that is that I think that the authorities and powers that be are to be called into question. Organized religion and churches are nothing but tyrannies that simply tyrannize and enslave the souls and minds of men and create pacified incels that have nothing better. They're just pacified. Christianity is a religion that pacifies and enslaves people. It's moral enslavement. If inescapable reality was ever right about one thing, he was right about that. Christianity is a moral enslaving institution, and it's just moral enslavement. That's all it does. It enslaves you. It's a tyranny over the minds of man. just like politics and the state is a tyranny over the minds of man. There's no such thing as a democracy. The most successful strategy for ensuring that a slave never rebels is to convince that slave that they are actually free when they're not. And when you are surety for another person, when you are surety for Wall Street and Washington, D.C., I've got some news to tell you, Buster. You're not free. You're a slave of British money. You are a slave of the Anglo-Dutch mercantile order and establishment in Wall Street and the City of London and the Vatican. And anyone that tells you otherwise is lying to you. Okay? That's why when you go to court, or when you are in a courtroom, you are just nothing but surety. When you are made to pay fees to the court, and when you are in jail or in prison, you are simply out on bond. You are being sold as a bond on Wall Street. Your person, your entity, your corporate entity, and your person, your straw man person, is sold out on bond on Wall Street for money. So there you go. That is the truth. It's simple facts. Organized religion was meant to enslave and spiritually tyrannize the minds and soul of man. And on that notion, I'm going to go ahead and call it a day.